So, I'm Oscar from the Sourceful team. This is a quick demonstration of how to create iconic packaging designs for your brand without needing any professional design expertise. So, what I'm going to do today in this video is talk to you about how to go through the journey with the Sourceful app and share some tips and tricks. You don't need to be a professional designer to create packaging designs using Sourceful. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that without needing any specialist design skills. The best way, I think, for us to learn together is for me to walk through an example end to end of creating a packaging design, and you can follow me along and hopefully pick up some hints and tips. So the design that I'm going to go with today will be a packaging design for an electrolyte brand. I'm going to call it Pearl Nutrition because it makes me think of hydration and the sea, and it sounds premium. And I'm going to go with a kind of premium but also modern vibe that might play on some of the great competitors that are out there. So let's get started. Okay, the first step that I've actually taken this morning was to go and take a look at what is out there in the market. I think this is a really helpful step because it will enable me to get a slightly higher quality first prompt. Now, from the research that I've been doing, it looks like there's kind of three main groups of design types that exist out there. And here I've just gone and taken screenshots and brought them into a Figma file. But you could use a Word document. You could use anything that you feel comfortable using. And it seems from my research that there's kind of a bunch of brands doing like a kind of very visual expressive design, often where they're using the fruit elements or the scent elements that are involved. And I've gone across category here and looked at some that are like CBD gummies, not only electrolytes. Then in the center, which I think is the kind of dominant part of the market in the electrolyte space, is a more clinical structured, uses like block colors. I think it looks really nice, but I've tended to find more brands that are going down this route. And then lastly, slightly more abstract, gradient related designs. And again, here I've gone slightly outside of just the like sports nutrition, electrolyte space into some more like health and wellness brands like Trip and Space Goods. And I really love these designs. So I'm kind of being naturally pulled, I think, towards the abstract and gradient design. So that's what I'm going to go with. So from here, what I've then done is I took a screenshot of this group of four and I came into ChatGPT. So there's the image from my Figma file. And I've then given ChatGPT a prompt to help me create a starting prompt that I can then use in the Sourceful platform. And the reason for doing this is it helps to firstly explain a little bit around the right prompt structure, but it also gives me a little bit of a brainstorming feeling before I even get started, which is quite helpful. So here I've said, look, I want you to act as a professional packaging designer from a top tier agency. I want you to use the image provided to create me a prompt. And then I put some details about what I want the prompt to do and say. So firstly, I said it should be focused on the visual hierarchy and layout of the design. That's quite important. You need to be quite clear and prescriptive with the models. And so because I'm feeling inspired by the brands that we've put in that image, I want the prompt to have a kind of good clarity around the fact that I want to go in this design direction. And then we'll see what happens in Sourceful as I'm going to get lots of different ideas. So then I can start to take it from there. It should also be specific on where design elements sit on front of the sachet, because I think I'm going to design a sachet. But it should not be overly concerned with things like icons or small print. If we give it too much information on font, iconography, small print, we're going to end up with a really messy design. And in our model, that's something that the professional designers can do at the end of the process once you've landed on the design concept that you like. And then lastly, I've given it a bit of an example that, you know, the gradients and abstract shapes are the thing that I kind of care most about. And the fact that the logo name is really clear and stands out as well. And then I've given it our 500 character length. Just come out with this first one. So design a modern, vibrant sachet. I think what I want to now do is push it a little bit to give me something that's slightly different from what's in the market. So now I almost want to say, thanks. Can you refine this so that the design style will feel like it stands out versus these competitors, not just blends in? Give me something slightly more edgy in what you've written. I always like to try and push one step further. I think it tends to get us a better starting result. And I also want to explore lots of ideas. So I want something that is interesting. So let's just read this. Create an eye-catching premium sachet for Pearl Nutrition Electrolytes. Brand name top center in bold. Refined type. Product names sat directly below the sharp with sharp clarity, like that. Feature bold, fluid gradients or hyper saturated abstract shapes that break symmetry and bleed off edges. Use negative space with intent. Divide clean but rebellious. Elevated wellness with an edge. I think that will do as a good starting point. So I'm going to copy that prompt now, and I'm going to move over into the Sourceful platform. So yeah, here we are, and on the Sourceful homepage. So here we've got our unifying prompt box, and I'm just going to paste in my prompt. I've actually kind of ended up copying a bit of white space. So yeah, I've got my prompt in there, and I'm going to start my design. Great. Now I know that from a design perspective, I said I wanted a sachet. So let me see if we've got that. Yeah, great. And so it's giving me these options. I actually think that the stick pack is probably the right one. You know, if you imagine electrolytes, they tend to come in these thinner types of sachets. So that's great. And I'm going to go to here. Okay, cool. So now I'm faced basically with being able to put in my brand name. So this is Pearl Nutrition. And I want to design a blood orange first flavor, because we're going to do a few different flavors in this video. So then I'm going to select color. I kind of want, yeah, something like that is really nice. I'm actually just going to go with a couple of colors. I think sienna, peach, and then I'm going to pick a white. I don't want there to be too many colors here. In many ways, I kind of want the design to feel really classic and bold. So then no styles either, I think. I've got a logo file, so I'm going to upload that as well. And I've designed that logo quickly this morning on ChatGPT as well, and that went really well. And then in terms of inspiration and additional files, at this stage I don't have any more. And yes, of course, in order to move forwards, I need to put a style in on this briefing form. So I think actually I'm going to go with abstract because of the gradient style of thing. And yeah, that will probably be the only one that I want to select at this stage. Okay, so let's go to summary. Here's my summary. Create an eye-catching sachet. So there's my brief. My colors are in. I've got abstract style, and I've got my logo. So let's get started. Great. So here we are now on the results page. And as you can see, what the model has done is it's now going to give us a number of different inspiration concepts. So firstly, we've got this kind of, abstract version where it's done some wavy patterns and brought the colors in quite nicely. I do actually quite like some of that. It's a little bit different from what I was expecting. Then there's a more minimalist one here. I think this one's a bit more like my middle category that I'm, I guess, a bit less happy with. And then, this one is getting closer with some of these gradients here. But as I'm going through this, actually, I'm kind of feeling that for the first design, because it's the first time I'm designing for this brand, and realistically, I'm going to have to send these through the post if I'm starting as an e-commerce brand. I think I want to actually give myself a bit more design real estate to work on. So I'm thinking I might change the brief a little bit here and see a few different concepts. So firstly, I'm actually going to change off of the stick pack and onto a mailer box for now. And then I'm going to keep all the colors and the naming the same. Might just say blood orange, electro light. And then I'm also going to have to change my prompt a tiny bit. So I'm going to create an eye-catching premium mailer box for electrolyte sachet. So it's the mailer box for the sachets. I think I want a lot of this to stay the same, but this morning I was kind of thinking I want to be able to bring in this idea of waves to make it feel like it's attached to the brand name of Pearl and related to the sea. So I'm going to unclick abstract, and instead I'm actually going to upload a little image of some waves that I pulled this morning that we can then reference in the prompt. So here I'm going to say feature bold fluid gradients similar to those of the ocean and the inspiration image I've provided. And then I'm going to remove this section on abstract shapes And I think that the rest can stay the same. Yeah. So let's have a look at what comes back here. Okay, great. Let's see what's come back. Awesome. Yeah, these are now looking a little bit more close to what I wanted. So yeah, that's the first route. This is really nice. It's less got the wave pattern. Yeah, this is perfect. This is really cool. And I think I'm pretty happy with this. I think what I want to do is so this is now the route that I'm interested in. There are a couple of refinements that I want to make. So I'm going to click on this. I think I'm going to say, make the top section of the box the orange wave, whilst the bottom section is negative white space. I think that I would prefer it to be that way around. So there, what I've done is I've been able to give the model a prompt just on that route. And as you can see, it's then generated another route that hopefully now takes the instructions that I put in. Because this is a brainstorming stage, like I'm not that interested here yet at this point in terms of like, does my logo look correct or is my text all correct? We can sort some of that in the editor and also with our artworkers when we turn it print ready. At this point in time, I'm just trying to get the visual hierarchy and the design sorted. And this is a great way to do that by kind of continuing to refine the route, because I get five things to look at every time. Okay, so yeah, this one is nice. I think it's really bold and stands out nicely, actually. Okay, I think I really like this one. It's got less of the abstracts. It's definitely more. It might be more in the middle category that I looked at this morning. But actually, now I notice it has like more of a wavy pattern below. Yeah, I really, really, really like this one. Now there are a couple of things obviously on here that I want to clean up already. So I'm going to go in and start to edit this image. So here I am now in the editor, and there are a couple of things that are pretty obvious from this generation that I want to firstly get rid of. So I'm going to click on our Magic Erase tool, and using this little brush, I'm going to say no thank you to that C, and I'm not sure what that A is. So I'm going to get rid of both of those. So let's generate and watch those disappear. Perfect. So those have gone now, and I'm going to apply that edit and just save it. Okay, the next edit I want to make is to the logo, because you'll notice that this isn't the logo that I uploaded. Now, so I'm going to go to the logo tool, and because I want a bit more precision here, I'm not going to use the brush. I'm actually going to use this little lasso tool. And if you notice, my logo is quite kind of wide, but not particularly deep. And I think I want it to be quite large on the front of this box, because, you know, this is like this is the signature mailer box that I'm going to be sending through the post. So I want the brand to really stand out. So I want the logo to be quite large. So I'm actually going to create quite a large space here for the logo to go in. Using this lasso tool is very easy to use. I just click on the points where I want it to sit. I haven't quite centered that correctly, so I'm just going to go back. So where do I want it to go to? It probably needs to go to about there. Down. Okay, great. I think that will be a really good shape. Now we'll generate, but what we're likely to see is that because this was a transparent PNG background, the logo may have some slightly blurred edges to it. Again, this is about visualizing how the structure of the design would look. All of those things will get resolved once we click the Make It Print Ready button. Okay, so yeah, here's the logo swapped in. As I said, there's a slight blur to it, but that's fine. That'll get resolved. So I'm actually going to go ahead and save this again. I like how that now looks. Okay, great. So my logo is updated, and I'm actually not going to mess around now with trying to change the text here. That's something that I can do by briefing into the art worker. It's clear that that should say electrolyte sachets, and I would brief into the art worker that that should say blood orange. So from here, I'm now going to do one more step, which is, I think, to give me a sense of how this will look when it lands with my customers. I want to try to create a background that will give me a sense of what it might look like in marketing. So I'm actually going to copy this image, go back into ChatGPT and say, okay, I have a first design. Can you create me a prompt for a background that will celebrate this design in a marketing ad? I want it to look like a product photo shoot done by a studio. Cool. Let's go. Awesome. Right. I've got a background that will hopefully now bring this to life. If I come back into the editor, firstly, I'm going to zoom out. So I'm going to do one quick zoom out so that I can, get this a bit further away. Okay, great. I love that. So I'm going to save that. Now I'm starting to get a sense of how this really might look. I think it looks really striking. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to go and add a background. So take my prompt, copy it in. So what's it saying? Soft diffuse lighting, minimal props, glass of water, sliced citrus. Yeah, okay, great. Let's see. Okay, have a few interesting looking backgrounds here. I think this one is probably my favorite. It's good. All of the perspective is good. I'm kind of happy with the sizing of things. Actually, this one might be my favorite. Yeah, this one. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and apply this edit. And like, if I were launching this brand, something that would be interesting that I could do is I could then try, run a click-through rate test by putting this image out on TikTok or Insta, and seeing, and maybe designing a few different designs and doing the same thing and seeing which ones have better click-through rate. This is a way that I can start to get a sense of, okay, well, does this design resonate with my target customers? But look, I'm really happy that it looks right next to some oranges. It looks right next to a glass. It looks like something that my target customer base might want to pick up. So I'm going to save the edit. I'm actually going to save this one as a copy so it doesn't overwrite my previous design. Right. Let's go back now, back into my generation area. So now I'm back where we created the generations, and you can see that I've got this beautiful background one, and then I've got, where's it gone? Our zoomed out one. So yeah, I'm really happy with this now. I think before I make this print ready, the last thing I want to do is I want to see if I can generate a few flavor variations of this. So I'm going to click generate variations. Now this lets me type in, so in a similar way as we developed some different routes by typing instructions, this is now going to let me type some instructions to modify just this design. So in this case, what I would like to see is a lime and lemon flavor of this electrolyte mailer box, or maybe I'll say lemon and lime color scheme of this electrolyte mailer box. So let's see how that goes, and then I can continue to do that as a way of testing. Like, okay, do I like this design pattern? One of the reasons why I think I do like it is because I think we can change the colors pretty easily, and therefore, it's stays consistent across the flavors. So let's generate. Right, so that's gotten started. What you should see, there we go, is that it will appear again at the bottom of this list of all the generations that we have. So you can keep editing and refining within this space. So I will wait for those. That was pretty quick. Yeah, awesome. Again, look, there's some blurring, but I'm starting to see something that looks really similar to my design, but now coming to life as a different flavor. All right, I am happy. I'm happy with this. So what I'm going to now do, it's not the finished design by any means. Like, it doesn't have my website on it. It doesn't have, I might want to add a QR code. Obviously I'm at some point I'm going to need to moving into doing the sachet design, but I'm happy that I now want to see what a full, correctly sized mailer box design like this would look like. And I'm ready to, get a print ready file. And from there, I then might take that and roll that out across different SKUs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click make print ready. What this is going to do is going to take me through to a list of services where I can purchase the final step of this design. And so in this case, that would involve probably just getting the front face of my design plus the die line, so that then I can move that forwards and roll that out across different flavors. If I wanted to go all the way and produce this as a fully formed file with all of the back of pack information, I would come here. We offer a fixed price to do that with a 24-hour to 48-hour turnaround. And yeah, it's a one-off fixed price. And so you can take the design that we've just worked on, tidy it up, get it fully finished, and get it ready for print. So that's it. That's how I can go from gathering inspiration to having some brainstorming with ChatGPT to producing a design of my own that I could even test in marketing channels, and then being able to take that to be print ready using one of our artworking services. We're really looking forward to seeing what everybody creates. We're really excited about improving our editing functionality, letting you do more of the journey yourself. And of course, in then connecting you with some of the most talented freelance art workers across the globe. We have an always on service. And yeah, we're existing to help small brands create iconic packaging. And we really hope you enjoy using the product. Thanks.